Welcome to the Daisy Blue Fashion Variety Show. I'm Nancy Blizzard, your host. My guest today is Troe Williams from Vandalism Design. Welcome.
Hello, welcome. Thank you for having me here. It's a pleasure. I appreciate it.
Well, welcome. I'm glad you're here.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Tell me how you got started in fashion.
I've wanted to do fashion since I was a kid. In the initial thought, it wasn't anything that I knew precisely was fashion. I watched rerun of the Ed Sullivan Show with Diana Ross and the Temptations, and when she walked out, the entire audience gave a collective, and I wanted that feeling, but I took dance and theater and various things, and that didn't quite give me that ooh that I wanted, and so I stuck into fashion just kind of by tinkering around with clothing that was already created, taking it apart, restructuring it. So I was born in Wisconsin, but my mother's family is from Tennessee, and that's where I grew up and went through school. And I love the things that I pull from the South within my creative idea and lexicon. And a lot of my mentality toward clothing comes from my upbringing in the South. And I love being of the South. Even though I'm not born there, I claim it as my home. You know, Midwestern by birth, Southern raised, but I claim I love the enormous family I come from, and it's a huge family, but I'm probably the blackest of the black sheep, no pun intended. When I was a kid, I was terrified of math, but as I got older and older and continued to do fashion, it dissipated and left because it's all mathematics. The mathematics involved is an amazing thing. It's like architecture, but not, because the human body has curves and bumps that buildings have yet to have. Some, they're doing amazing things with some of the stuff that we can do in today's world, but the human body is amazing, an architectural structure on its own, and I like to dress it in all configurations that I can. I would have been a biochemist had I not been a fashion designer, so science still intrigues me, space still intrigues me, and it inspires me greatly to see the amounts of knowledge and things that we are gaining just in the scientific community and space exploration. It's an amazing time to be alive. I really have self-taught myself every aspect of the fashion industry and business, from photograph to model to lighting, set design, home interiors, commercial interiors, movies, music videos, you name it. If it's fashion, I've made at least one, everything but hard-bottom shoes. Everything my company sells, I make. The bath salts, the handbags, the fur, the bridal pieces. I bead it all. I make it all.
Do you think you have a particular style?
Oh, I know I have a particular style. I have named it Afrocentric European Futuristic Clothing. I know that's a mouthful, but the reason for that, a lot of the cuts are based in the idea of African and Middle Eastern wear, so it's galabaya lengths are long. You'll see a lot of splits and other things that I do, and these are to pay homage to the very old ways of African attire, the very old ways of Middle Eastern attire, just because of my lineage. And then the fabrication that I use are very finely spun, very finely woven fabrics that you would get in Europe. All across Europe, whether it's Paris or Milan or London, because London does some of the best wools in the world. Paris does some of the best silks and damask fabrics in the world, just in what they do. The Egyptians and Saudi Arabians and Africans do some of the best weaving and colorations of fabrics because they use natural colored dyes. I think that strong personalities should dress accordingly. Sometimes you have to stand out to fit in. I mean that from the core of my being. Not everyone wants to fit into the crowd. Not everyone wants to look like everyone else. I relish the idea of not looking like anyone, regardless to their finance or celebrity or stardom or whatever it is. I'm very happy that I have a look that is distinct and to me. I'm very happy about that, actually.
Well, I'd love to see some of your models come up.
Okay, well, I would love for them to come up too. I think the first one I'll have come up will be Janae. And Janae has on a variation of fabrics. And this variation of fabrics, it is a chenille and tapestry mixture. The harlequin print you see on the sleeves, on the bottom, is a satin finished tapestry fabric. The outside or the inside that you see, the orange stripe is a chenille. then it's a woven tapestry right next to that. I saw the fabric and had to have it, and this is the piece that I created for that particular fabric. And the fabric is what spoke to me to create that piece that I created. It wasn't something that I went into the fabric store and said, this is what I want, I'm looking for this particular color, I'm looking for this particular pattern. When I saw it, I was like, oh, that's beautiful, I love that. And bought as much as I could buy and went home and produced that piece. There is another piece that goes kind of coupling with it. There's a long thin shawl, and then there's an entire evening gown out of the gold and black harlequin print that's on the outside of her sleeves and the strap of her top and whatnot. If you can, undo your button so she can see your top.
I love the sleeves.
Thank you.
I just do. Oh my gosh, that is so cute.
And see, you have all the little blurbs of the harlequin fabric in the back, and you have it on the sleeves, it's in the handbag, so it runs the gamut. I try and make sure that you have a piece that is interchangeable with other things, but I sell them as full sets and ensembles. I love a well put together woman or man. No matter who it is, you'll see me do them usually in a full suit. Thank you, Janae.
That is great.
The next we'll have come up will be Melody. And Melody is in a metallic silver and cobalt blue polka dot swimwear fabric. Now, I decided to make an outfit out of it, but you can actually get this into a swimming pool and it not discolor or have any issues. And the sleeve is a piece all to itself. It goes up and around her shoulders in the back, and it goes over her arms so that it doesn't mess with the cowl neck of her top. And then the top just ties, so if you want it loose or tight, you can do that. And it's just a stretchable skirt. Nothing really super particular or innovative about the fabric itself, other than you can get it in the pool and it's an evening piece. But that's it, and that's what came to me. Actually, truth be said, when I originally did that piece, it was a one-piece dress, and I showed it for one presentation, and I didn't like it as a dress, and I split it in half, and I like it a lot better now. All of the edges and the hems are done with a zigzag stitch, and that zigzag stitch is what produces the stretch for the ends of the sleeves and the edges of the skirt all the way around in the top. The way that it lays is because of the stitch. It is a metallic swimwear bathing suit fabric. I will put Austrian crystal rhinestones so that it has a little bit of extra flash so that you understand and know it is truly an evening piece. I love what I do, and I try to make sure that whatever it is, when you go out, you're not going to bump into a twin. And that is why I do the cuts, the lines, the combinations of cuts and lines that I do for each piece. Our next model is going to be Lauren. Look, nickname Legs, as you can see. Look, she's as tall as the Statue of Liberty, but she's a beautiful woman. The necklace she has on as well is a piece that I do. Now, the leather goods, it's called LLG, Luxury Leather Goods Jewelry. Because I do handbags and luggage and purses and different things, but I wanted to do some jewelry, and I wanted to do leather jewelry, but I didn't want it to have a biker connotation or a bondage connotation sort of thing. I wanted to take it to Fifth Avenue, so to speak. I wanted it, when you looked at it, be like, wow, that's leather, and turn it into jewelry. And as I continued to produce work for my company, I wanted to make sure that regardless of whether you have a big bum or big hips or big breasts, long legs, thick legs, that you can still have very sexy, very elegant, very nicely stated pieces. Because I think a lot of the times the fashion industry forgets that, because they want everyone to be this perfect size 0 to 6, and that is, mind you, 2% of our world population, and I repeat, 2% of our world population is what we are sold in the magazines and on the big boy runways. As a designer, I should be able to make clothing for anybody, and I repeat, anybody. The average shape of a woman in America is a size 12. That's the average American woman. And how often do you see that on the cover of a magazine or on the ad campaigns for the big boys? And I'm not knocking them for what they sell us. I'm not knocking them for what they do at all. But I think it is very important as a haute couture designer that I let people know that it doesn't matter to your curvature or your broad shoulders. I'm a designer. I'm building it for you, so your size is not an issue. I just try and make sure that people know that everyone can be beautiful and alluring, male and female. Thank you, Lauren.
Thank you.
Now, and speaking of men, my last model for today, at least for right now until they come back, name is Jay. And Jay is one of my male models, and we do quite a bit of work. And you see him in a wool coat. One is a wool jersey, and the other is a quilted wool that has a padding behind it. So it is a winter fabric to keep you warm, and it has that enormous collar as well as the crazy hat that goes with it. And if you would, Jay, remove your coat. Oh, well, you can play with the collar too. I'm always moving fast, but see, now I love that suit. I saw the fabric and I knew I wanted to make a suit like that. It wasn't in question what type of cut I wanted to do because it just hangs and then it has that shimmer and that move to it. And as you see him move and change his body position, it just moves and flows. I do not have a preference for men or women's clothing. I do both.
What fabrics do you like to work with the most?
Not any one particular fabric. I work with everything. Like I said, it can be wool, it can be fake fur, it can be real fur, denim, Egyptian cotton, Egyptian linens, various types of silks, beaded fabrics, sequin fabrics. I paint fabrics, I embroider fabrics, I will wrinkle them and crinkle them through wetting and drying processes and whatnot, do color variations and spectrums on fabrics, add appliques. Like I said, it is a never-ending learning process because every new idea and every new design brings forth a particular sort of research. If I'm trying to do leathers, then I want leathers that are cut from the backs of the animals as opposed to the bellies because the leather's thicker, more resilient. And that's just how they're made. The majority of the fabrics that I buy are bought from a fabric store in Minnesota called S.R. Harris. I stumbled upon it by accident and walked in, and I mean literally, it is a football field of fabric from floor to ceiling. It is 87,000 square feet of fabric from around the world, in every configuration that you can imagine, in every thickness, every color, every texture. And they do really good. They travel the U.S. and select fabrics from buyouts or small lots or odd dye lots, very different types of things. So most of the stuff that you will see today, most of those fabrics come from the store, and it's called S.R. Harris Fabric Outlet. Hi, Gail. Hi, Sid. I can do ready to wear, I can do custom good, and then I do haute couture. The difference between the three is ready to wear is mass produced and made somewhere and you go to a rack and buy it. Custom good is made strictly for you. Haute couture, everything in the piece is hand done, at least to 95 to 97% of the entire garment. So collars, buttons, pockets, zippers, whatever it is done by hand. Reason why you spend the kind of money you do for some of the big old-fashioned houses, because everything is done by hand. It took you 500 man-hours to make this piece. Yeah. Your eyes get big, and people don't realize that some of these gowns, some of these leather pieces, some of these beaded pieces, they take that amount of time to produce. When you go out to the retail market and you look at things that are mass-produced or in the ready-to-wear market, the prices that you see those things at, when you move into custom goods, that price doubles. When you move from custom good to haute couture, that price doubles, if not quadruples. You might do 15 fittings for one bridal gown. Most people have no idea what that's like because they don't go through that. But those that live in a life of fashion or designer fashion, exclusive fashion, one of a kind, live like that. And they know that investment in coming and doing that many fittings is going to make the garment look better, is going to make it fit better, and you don't have any wardrobe malfunctions or things that aren't sitting or looking properly. I love the haute couture better than anything because it gives me the opportunity. There is no limit. Vandalism Designs is a custom goods company, one of a kind original. If you're looking for a knockoff, a duplicate, a remake, you're in the wrong place. I don't mass produce because I don't think there are a million people that should be in the same cut or the same look or the same design idea. I don't. Not if it's not personalized to them, because it makes them all copycats or clones of one another, and we're all very individual people, each and every one of us on this planet. No matter the number that we are all very different, and I want to produce clothing that reflects that, that shows that even though we have differences, we can still get along, we can still do things, get together and have great times and celebrate and party and all of that, but it's still about the individual. You know, if you go somewhere and you run into four friends in the same thing, how is that special for you or exclusive to you? It's not. So I make very, very particular care when it comes to finding out where people go and what is the clothing for. You know, are they really ready to be an individual in how they look? Because when it comes to a great deal of what I produce, I have hand in their makeup as well as their hair, jewelry, handbags, shoes. The entire look is what I help to produce for them. And if it's for a special occasion, we do that. Or if it's going to be a repeat thing, it just really runs the gamut.
And what's your plans for the next 3 to 5 years?
Oh my God, what aren't the plans? Well, other than producing some of these fragrances, and there are unisex fragrances and because I'm a cologne person. I love fragrance, and so I've always had the idea that I wanted to have company fragrances, and I have a couple and working on a couple more. I will be doing some world traveling, doing some shows and various presentations, whether it be for artistic endeavors or just showing people what the company does. And then I am actually looking to buy a piece of property so that I can actually finally open I call it my Paisley Park. It's not anything to do with music, but it will encompass everything that I can do within fashion up under one roof. I think you have to dream big. You have to plan big. You can't allow others to hamper how big you dream, because even though they may be big or outrageous in other people's minds, some people are inspired just for the fact that you have the gall to dream that big. And I've always wanted to have a company that is known around the world for my talent and work prowess. I'm a nomad. I move around. I've lived in Minneapolis and Tennessee and Detroit and LA and Hollywood, and the reason why I call them both is because I lived in both here, and have traveled all over the continental U.S. and spots in Canada, spots in Mexico. And so now it's time to go across the big pond and go to Europe and see Japan and Africa and various other parts of the world and introduce them to how I do fashion presentations. I want to do this until that I can't do it. And I enjoy what I do. I wouldn't change it for the world. As long as I can do the clothing, I'm happy. I get up thinking about it. I go to bed thinking about it. Everything inspires me, from music to scenery outside, people, conversations, science, you name it, and it inspires me.
And how would you summarize yourself as a designer?
I would summarize myself as a designer that believes in producing clothing for the individual. It's not about a mass marketed idea. It's not about anyone else's judgment or approval. It's how you want to dress, how you want to embellish or decorate your temple. If your body is your temple, then all of its accoutrements and adornments should be custom to you. Well, I think it's very important to give people exclusive things. You can't be exclusive if they don't get exclusive things. You can't say, "Oh, we're exclusive," and everybody has it. You know, that kind of defeats the purpose.
Thank you for watching the Daisy Blue Fashion Variety Show here at Denver Open Media with my guest, Troe Williams from Vandalism Design. It's been a pleasure having you.
It's been a pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
It's wonderful. Have a wonderful evening.
You as well. Bye.